that's how we start to create trust with ourselves again. Because it's not like the universe and yourself are really different. This is what makes me want to cry. You're going to feel so whole and complete. And isn't that what we truly manifest from? Completeness is abundance, right? Wholeness. I already have everything. And from that, you might attract those things that you want. Not because you're trying hard, but because the universe must reflect the energy that you're being. And if you're in full trust with yourself, life is going to be a lot lighter, a lot more fun, a lot more enjoyable. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of On Purpose by Lynn. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Lynn and I share with you everything you need to know to become the best version of yourself. Everything that I share is about spiritual growth, personal growth, so if that's something that you're interested in, then make sure to subscribe. In this episode, I'm going to dive deep into how to surrender to the universe in order to manifest the life that you truly desire. And now I know those are kind of big words, but we're going to break it down in this video and we're going to see what this actually means, because I know that surrendering to the universe, it sounds like some fluffy woo-woo thing, but in practicality, there are tools and there are things that you can do in order to become in alignment with your human self, your spiritual self, and to feel okay to surrender to something that we don't know what it is, right? That's what we do when we surrender. We surrender something that's greater than us, and it's scary. And so how do we do that? Why is it important? And tools. We're going to be talking about tools. So if that's something that you want to know more about, then stay around. So before I'm going to dive in today's topic, I just want to share briefly with you how I came to this topic, and then we're going to talk about why it's important to surrender, what is surrendering, and how can we do that, and basically get into alignment with all the things that we want to manifest in our lives. Whether that's material stuff, but ultimately I think it's the internal stuff. It's how those things will make us feel, right? No matter if those things show up in our lives, we will still have that sense of fulfillment and freedom and happiness and contentment and bliss and peace and abundance, right? That's where we want to live in. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about all the things. But the reason why I came to actually this topic, and you might see that I just made a very quick setup because I just wanted to jump right in. The inspiration came and I wanted to film as quickly as possible. And so I'm back in the mountains. I've been going through a transition from Bali to Holland to here. And so it's been quite an adjustment for my body. And not only my body, but also my emotions and stress levels and, my spiritual well-being. So I have been needing to take extra care of myself. That's why I was just doing a Reiki healing, self-healing, and that's when this topic about surrendering really hit me, because I feel right now like I'm in a point in my life where I'm transitioning. I'm closing a cycle, I'm closing a chapter, and I'm into this I'm growing into a new cycle, a new beginning, and it's scary, right? I'm also human and I have feelings and fears and insecurities and doubts. And so, this is the inspiration that hit me, and I've been actually working with this topic, surrendering and trust, the last 2 years, and it had all to do with healing. And so that's just a little clue. But before you kind of swipe away this video and say, "Oh, healing, I don't want to do that stuff," stay with me because it's important and it's kind of life changing. It changed my life, and hopefully, this information will help you to 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 have those positive changes in your life, or at least have something starting, energetically, so that things start to unfold in your life as well. That's my wish for this video.
Just a very quick disclaimer. All the things I will be talking about today in this video is based off my own experience and real life integration of parts therapy, which is described in this blog post. This is the method I've used to heal and integrate my small self and ego self. I'm not affiliated with this website, but just wanted to offer you this amazing resource that clearly states where parts work therapy comes from, who invented it, what it is, how it's used in many different therapy models, and how this work will benefit you to live an embodied life in full trust with the universe. This form of therapy, together with inner child work, which this article beautifully mentions is the most well-known part of this work, has been the key to work through my human baggage and blockages to live an embodied life in alignment with my highest path and higher self, which I mentioned is my ultimate wish for you and the intention of this video. So check out the link in the description below to this blog post to learn more about how parts work can help you. And without further ado, let's hop right back in today's episode where you will learn the exact steps of how to surrender to the universe with full, effortless ease.
So, what is surrendering and why is it important? So surrendering to the universe, and you might probably already know. I'm just going to be very brief and concise. So surrendering to the universe, people talk about this and it's kind of sounds very fluffy and airy, and but it's not. In practicality, it's not. We deal with it on a day-to-day basis, whether we realize it or not. We're either surrendering or we're not surrendering. And usually, I guess we're not surrendering because most of us live in the ego self, the identity, right, that we've built around ourselves throughout the years because we wanted to protect ourselves. It's really important to note this. Our ego is here not because it's trying to bully you, not because it's trying to criticize you or limit you. It's here because it needed to protect you from getting hurt when you were younger. So we built this kind of compassion, not just kind of, we built this compassion for ourselves, okay? And keep this in mind while I talk about how to kind of break through this. And so when we live in that identity, it's very hard for us to follow a spiritual path where we're following our intuition, right? I don't know if I can say that our ego is the opposite of our intuition. I don't know if that's true, but I do think that the ego is definitely a factor that keeps us away from our intuition. And our intuition is our gut feeling, it's our guiding light, it's something greater than us that we feel called. It's the subtle little whispers, the synchronicities, the the signs that we see, the numbers, the dreams, the messages, whether that comes from through people or music, or animals, or symbols that we see. And it's this force that's leading us, and I call it the force, but it can be, you can describe it as God, your higher self, your angels, source, zero frequency field, the quantum field. However, what name resonates with you, it's a force that's trying to lead us on our soul path. And so in order to lead and walk our soul path, we have to surrender What does that mean? We have to surrender our ego self. Otherwise, because our ego wants us to stay where we feel comfortable, where we feel safe. And it doesn't mean that following our intuition isn't safe, but it might feel like it's not to the ego because it's something it doesn't know. And something it doesn't know is a threat. It's potential danger. So it's going to confuse you. It's going to try to confuse you. And I've had this so many times in my life where my heart was saying one thing, my head was saying one thing, and it got so emotional and kind of mixed up that it was very hard to know and find the clarity and know, okay, what's my path right now? What can I listen to right now? And so that's why it's so important that you have to take care of your energy, but we'll dive into that later. So this is why it's important. If we want all those beautiful things that we want to experience that fulfillment, that peace, abundance, bliss, unconditional love. If we want to live in that world, we have to break through everything that it's not that, which is usually our fears, our insecurities, all the things that our ego will try to keep us in, to protect us from. In reality, that can be very difficult to deal with when we're trying to surrender and trying to follow our intuition, because it will feel contradicting. It will feel like my mind is saying one thing, my heart is saying one thing. I don't know who to trust, and here's a big key. And this is what I found when I was going through my healing journey. It's about trust. And ultimately, our trust is messed with. Not only does it come from society, basically pushing us to do things, and okay, if you resonate with this, I'm for you. If not, then just take this with a grain of salt. But in my vision, society was not here to make us believe in ourselves, to empower us so that we knew exactly who we were, what our strengths were, to live in conviction with our mission and our deeper calling. And so we've been taken away from ourselves. This already started to happen in school, to not trust ourselves. We've been conditioned in ways not to trust ourselves. And not only that, probably in your household, probably when growing up, you've learned to not listen to your intuition and to dismiss your feelings, your sensitivity, and to agree with mom and dad because that's what was going to keep you safe. Even if you knew one thing, you knew the truth, and then they told you, no, it's not true. It's like this, because of their whatever, their baggage and their shame and their problems. And so we grow up not trusting ourselves. And when we don't trust ourselves, we essentially don't trust the universe. And that's huge. And I think, to me, living a life in full surrender and trusting God, trusting the universe, it was all about healing and integrating the parts, healing my shadow, integrating my shadow, understanding all my parts, the parts that I suppressed, the parts that I felt were unacceptable, which I completely dismissed. And I don't know if I can say fragmented from my energy, but I guess it feels that way. All the parts that I suppressed, denied, that's where those parts, they didn't start to trust me, right? Think about what happens when a child always gets dismissed by its parent. It will stop to feel safe. If a child expresses their feelings and the parent will dismiss them completely time after time, the child will stop to feel safe with their parent and will stop to trust that parent. And essentially, that's what we do to ourselves. And that's heartbreaking. It really is. And this is no way to, this is not a reason. The reason why I'm telling this is not to start blaming yourself that you're doing that, but it's holding compassion to see that, when we suppress parts of ourselves and we start creating the ego self, um, it's not because we truly want to, it's because we're trying to survive and stay safe. And so this is what starts happening. So if we can't trust ourselves, and I don't mean consciously, right? Because most of the time we're just operating on a subconscious, unconscious level. They say only 5% of the time we're actually conscious. So imagine the 95% that's subconscious that might be not trusting you. And this is where your shadow also is, right? And so we have to start repairing that bond with ourselves, to repair that trust with ourselves. And how do we do that? We start doing shadow work. We start looking at the things that we're unaware of, the subconscious parts of ourselves that we've suppressed and denied. And we start listening to them. We start really receiving them, understanding them, hearing them, seeing them, loving them. And so that's how we start to create trust with ourselves again. Because ultimately, when we start creating that trust with ourselves, it's going to get easier and it's going to feel safer for you to start trusting that the universe. Because it's not like the universe and yourself are really different. Your intuition is the universe communicating with you. So if you can start to trust yourself and you can start to integrate all those parts, it's going to get easier to trust your intuition and to let your guard down and to walk an unknown path and still feeling safe, knowing that you will be caught. I don't know. My English is broken. You know what I mean? And so surrendering, then suddenly it doesn't become this airy thing. It becomes something that we can start working on. How can I repair the bond with myself? How can I create trust with myself? And this is what makes me want to cry. Because not only when you start trusting yourself, you're going to create a whole new sense of who you truly are outside of from your ego. You start to let in more light. You're going to start to empower from the inside out. You're going to start to feel fulfilled and home in your body. So it's not only about, the reason why I often talk about manifesting those things, it's because usually that's what the ego is looking for, right? We want to manifest stuff because if the ego thinks it will make us happy, but ultimately those things, they might come when we really connect what's to the source that will create that. And the source that will create that is that trust with ourselves, is that safety within ourselves, is integrating the parts that we have suppressed, integrating healing, crying those tears, going through the grief of all the things that we didn't get, all the things that we didn't receive as a child, all the trauma. And I'm not talking about the big traumatic life events. Maybe that's something that happened to you, but it doesn't have to be. It can also be the things that you didn't get emotionally as a child. And that's a loss, that's grief. And those unshed tears, it's going to feel difficult to feel them. But ultimately, you'll set yourself free once you do. And you'll feel so much better and at peace and home in yourself. And piece by piece, you're starting to call back all the parts of yourself, the energy that was separated from you. I don't think you can say it was ever separated, but at least you tried to live in ignorance of it because it was too painful to face. And once you break through that resistance within yourself and you welcome in all those parts and they start to feel home with you, you're going to feel so whole and complete. And isn't that what we truly manifest from? Isn't that sense of completeness? Completeness is abundance, right? Wholeness. I already have everything. Having all of yourself. And from that, you might attract those things that you want. Not because you're trying hard, but because the universe must reflect the energy that you're being. And if you're in full trust with yourself, life is going to be a lot lighter, a lot more fun, a lot more enjoyable. And yes, there will be challenges. Yes, there will be parts in your life where you will grow through. But I feel like as long as we're here and experiencing our human experience, we'll go through them. We'll grow through them because I believe that's one of the reasons why we are here. We're here to learn, we're here to grow, and then we're here to give also what we've learned. And that was my intention of this video, to share with you what I've learned so that maybe when you find this video, and if you find this video, it was exactly what you needed to hear in order for you to move further on your soul path and evolve in the way that you're meant to evolve, so we can live in this beautiful world, this way of being, this love, this joy, this abundance together. And so I think that was it for this video. If you have liked this video, please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this, and let me know where you guys are tuning in from, because I love to get to know you. And that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for being here, and until the next time.